All right, we're live, guys. We're starting a little late today, but normally we don't even have a show today. But because of the special guest we got today, MMA Fight Pass, the HAMMERFIST podcast, we're here with episode 93, guys. This is episode 24 of the virtual podcast that we've been doing since the whole coronavirus started. And today I'd like to welcome our special guest, Eric Albarracin. Did I pronounce that right, brother?
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome, Eric. Hey, thank you for coming up, Eric. Captain Americas, welcome to our show, MMA Fight Pass. Welcome to the Central Valley officially right now.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Come.
I got love for the Central Valley. Some of the best wrestling in the country.
Yes, we do have a strong grappling background here. There's not much to do. And if you're a hardworking kid with the parents that'll send you in the right direction, there's definitely a lot of opportunity for that. Hey, brother, man, I just want to say, man, you got some glasses. Those glasses are off the chain.
Nope, I still got my gold chain on.
Yeah.
Now, but
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it, man.
I might even I got a challenge on these. I'm gonna put a challenge on these glasses.
There you go.
A lot of these fighters have been raising the stakes. The coach has been raising the stakes. Henry said he'd forfeit his he bet his first girlfriend ever if and his challenge of Volkanovski, or was it Ryan Garcia? Henry been challenging a couple of people, one of those guys, and then Ryan Garcia challenged, I think, Dylan Dennis, and then his coach, Conor McGregor's coach, John Kavanaugh, said he would retire and never train again. So if Ryan Garcia could last one round with Dylan Dennis. So as the coach of the Pitbull Brothers, Henry Cejudo, I'm about to raise the stakes and get on board and get on the bandwagon, and I'm willing to bet that Patricio Pitbull, Patricky Pitbull, Leandro Higo are going up against Conor McGregor's team, SBG, Pedro Carvalho, Peter Queally, and James Gallagher. I'll bet that if any of those fighters lose on one of the judges' cards, I'll retire these glasses forever.
Oh, that's big stake. Those are high stakes.
And throw in Henry. Throwing that Volkanovski, if he wins on July 11th, he doesn't. I bet that he doesn't dare whisper Triple C's name.
Híjole.
Those are some good words there. Amazing words. I mean, that's powerful words because there's a lot at stake there, Tom.
There's a lot at stake.
There's a lot at stake because Henry's, Henry's retired, but I think he would come out for one fight only. In MMA. That would be for that 145-pound title. Really, that if Holloway wins, we'd fight Holloway too. But it's about Henry conquering something that's never been conquered, becoming a legend amongst legends, and a third UFC title would do it. If you won 145, Henry saved the flyweight division. Henry lit the 135-pound division on fire. So it seems like the 100 and 145 division needs a little help. And who better than Triple C coming in to save the day, save the weight class, and become C4.
Guys, man, dude. Henry Cejudo, guys, is who this man is talking about. If you guys haven't seen Eric, I think the first time I saw you, I've seen you in multiple corners, multiple times. But where I first saw you quite a bit was in that TV show, The Ultimate Fighter, The Tough. Hey, were you in the first season of that? When did you get involved in that Ultimate Fighter show?
I was on the second season of The Ultimate Fighter Brazil. So that's back in 2013. Team Nogueira. Team Nogueira was one of my first teams. Is my first team. That I started coaching in Brazil.
So, Eric, when you, as I know you train in mixed martial art coach, you're one of the best coaches out there. I'm sure you hit all aspects of the game. But when you first started training as a youngster, was wrestling the first art that you got into?
Yes, wrestling is the best discipline to have for MMA. It creates that warrior ethos, and we get very good at multitasking at a young age. Um, Being somebody that's traveled around the world, I can see that the wrestling culture that is connected with our educational system, meaning middle school, high school, college, and there's always a date. February state championships, junior nationals is in in August, July. So we always have a date. We're always training for something very important every year. There's a date, there's a deadline, and same thing at the Olympic Training Center. I lived there for 10 years, and as you pull into the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, there's a clock, and it counts down, 900 days into the next Olympics, 500, 400, 300,
Oh, wow.
260. And that kind of, that deadline, that pressure of, I can't take off today because somebody else is getting better, and I have to do more than what my adversaries are doing. That kind of motivates you every day. And the multitasking of having to get good grades, study hall, finals, every February the state championships, that prepares you for not just life, but when you transition in MMA and you don't have to go to school, and you don't have a rest loss every week, and you don't have to make weight every week. Now you can use that multitasking, jump right into MMA. And now maybe you're not making weight, and maybe you don't have 8 classes, but you have 4 to 5 other disciplines to learn: kickboxing, boxing, Jiu Jitsu, sambo, karate, and all that. That wrestler just jumps into that like he's taking classes. And you got to get 3.0, 3.5, and 4.0s to get into a good college. And that's we use those characteristics. And transfer over that into MMA of hard work ethic, and studying hard. And we just study and become students of the sport. And that's why I think wrestling is the best discipline. And I started in 7th grade. I took off 8th because my parents moved and separated. And then 9th grade, I started back up again, but I was too small to wrestle my first year. So I really didn't start till my 10th grade. At Coral Springs High School, and my senior year I took 2nd in state, but I always knew that loss kind of propelled me into having a chip on my shoulder and just making sure I put myself in the best situation. And at that point, when I graduated high school, Arizona State was, as always in the high end of rankings. I think they were number 1 or number 2 at the time. I walked on there, and within a few years, I was on the national team for Team USA.
That's so sick.
Hey, Eric, you were talking about how your strong point is wrestling, and it's out very dominant. You have some fighters, amazing fighters on your roster. Amazing accomplishments. Korean Zombie, the Pitbull Brothers, Paulo Costa, Henry Cejudo. I mean, that's like the elite, the who's who of the who's who. Leandro Ego. Did I miss anybody else?
Oh, my whole team in the Pitbull Brothers. We got some killers down there,
Right. My question. One of the questions I have to you, how do you approach all these, athletes with your philosophy, as to how to make them champions?
Well, there's definitely a system that I have, and me and all the coaches. I credit it to all the coaches because I travel. I've kind of been on the road for almost 9 to 10 years, to tell you the truth. Ever since I left Fresno and Sanger, California, I've been on the road. So I have the ability to travel to a lot of these places. So a lot of fighters that are fighting. I mean, even now there's 3 Brazilians fighting for the title in Fight Island in this month, and fighting for the world title. But they all live in the U.S. Most of my fighters don't live in the U.S., and I have the ability to travel to them and bring what they can't bring the U.S. and some of the stuff that the system that I have over here, I bring it to them, and specifically wrestling.
One of the things that Tom and I were talking about, and maybe you can enlighten us, is my gosh, Mr. Wolverine, Henry Cejudo, Triple C. What a specimen. What kind of fight camp? I know you guys are bringing in, conditioning, science, and Tom, what else am I missing that we've heard about they're bringing in? I mean, physiologists. I mean, oh my God.
Sports performance, it takes a lot. It takes a village to raise a warrior. You got sports performance coaches. From Neuroforce One, I have BioAccelerator, which is stem cell treatments. I take my fighters to Medellin, Colombia. That's one of the best things to do right before camp. And there's a lot of things. In particular, it all requires a team leader. We have Dave Zowine, and Dave Zowine is the team leader for Fight Ready, and many fighters, and of course Triple C, that is his the main fighter. But he really helps all my fighters, and that's important to have a team leader. Like Team USA goes to the Olympics, they have a team leader. We used to have Mike Novogratz. We used to have Steve Silver, John Bardis. These are team leaders for the U.S. Olympic team. Well, to create the number one MMA team in the world, which we have, because we have 4 world titles and 3 guys ranked number 1 in the world, it takes a team leader like a Dave Zowine that kind of brings it all together.
That's unreal. So a lot of guys, a lot of our fans were asking the question is, and some of our friends that are younger fighters that are coming up, they're amateur fighters and moving their way up. A physiologist, physiology. What is the point of a physiologist during a training camp?
Well, I've noticed that in the beginning, we didn't have a physiologist, and almost all my fighters between 5th and 6th week getting injured. Got to take a couple of weeks off before you even fight, and that comes with overtraining. The thing with wrestling is most wrestlers, even most fighters in general, but wrestlers in particular, always overtrain. We train. It would be similar to if we were running a marathon on Saturday, yet Monday through Thursday we're running 26 miles twice a day. And that's kind of what we do in wrestling. I mean, a wrestling match is 6 minutes, yet, we still train hours for a 6-minute match. And I think we have to check our heart variability. That's important. We have windows of trainability. We have equipment that measures our central nervous system, our strength and endurance, our inflammation in our body. As you see over there is Cejudo's on a drill, the Sprawl Master and the Drill Master made by Carl Adams, the snap and shoot system. And we have that out in our gym, Fight Ready and Pitbull Brothers. And, certain things like that we all bring technology and equipment and knowledge and sports performance all together. VO2 max is important. Proper sleep is important. How many recovery is probably most important, and what most athletes lack. I think we get addicted to fatigue, that sense of fatigue. If we're leaving practice and we can barely walk, or at the end of the week we can barely walk, we feel we've done the proper training regimen. But in fact, you shouldn't feel like that. You should be feeling fresh.
Wow.
You should be feeling fresh.
So this is more.
I make sure my fighters are always fresh when I put them in that cage and lock it and unleash the beast.
So Archie, I mean, that fucking sprawl master's the shit right there.
Yeah, where's this gym at there, Eric? I mean, I see you guys training a lot there. Is this in Arizona?
Correct. That's in Scottsdale, Arizona. Fight Ready. That's where that's Henry's gym. We do that. That was our last training camp for Aldo and Cruz. That's when we were training there.
Okay.
That might be actually TJ Dillashaw.
You're throwing ball. What's the point of you're throwing balls at him and then the sprawl master right after it? Is it just what's the idea behind there?
Working.
Just timing.
Working. He sees a punch coming, but it's a fake into a shot. Things like that.
Nice. That's nice. Now, what about diet, Coach? every fighter is different. Is that how you do it? Where like every guy's different? Like if you got a heavyweight or you got a guy like Henry?
For sure, you got to have the right calories, not just for each individual fighter, but each athlete, but each individual training regimen. Not your heavyweights fighting someone different than the flyweight, so their calories, their rest and metabolic rate is different, and maybe they're having an easy day, while my other fighter's on a level 10 in sparring, so he would need more carbs than the other guy. So you coordinate that with our nutritionist, and we coordinate the nutritionist with the sports performance, and that schedule is both their input together.
What was that right there that the guy was doing with those drops in his mouth? Did you catch that?
The tricky Pitbull. Oh, the drops. That's CBD. I think that's Terpals.
Oh, okay.
They look like CBD.
Now, Eric, I've heard that you've got
I make all my fighters. So CBD, this is important for wrestlers, for fighters. CBD helps reduce inflammation in the body, but most importantly, inflammation in the brain. And we're in a head trauma sport. We receive trauma to the head, so it's important after whether it's any kind of sparring where you're getting hit in the head, especially after a hard sparring or the fight. Within 6 hours, you should be taking CBD to reduce that inflammation and help prevent CTE. This sport is no joke. We put these fighters put their livelihoods on the line.
They do, man. In the future, yes, they should get paid for it. And the future later on down the road is normally when those things come.
And you know what? Talking about getting paid and recognition, one of the things that's going on right now is in the MMA sports world is what's called MMA Awards. Tell us a little bit about that, Eric. And we had talked about that, and we're trying to get some votes for you out of here in the Central Valley, California, Western region. And actually, we're reaching out a lot of people now. We're actually reaching out across the world. So, Eric, let us help you here somehow, man. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
Yeah, so can you hear me? Because I hear something wrong with the mics.
I could hear you well, yeah.
I don't know if that's
something happened earlier.
I think that's your mic when you speak.
Might be Archie. I'm gonna blame it on Archie.
Can you also hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Dang it.
Okay, well, yeah, so the World MMA Awards, fighters only. It's the biggest award in MMA. And for the first time ever, you have 2 wrestlers nominated in the same year, fighter and coach of the year. Henry Cejudo, Olympic champ, flyweight champ, and bantamweight champ. And that's never been done. And the way he did it, the quality of the challengers that he beat, the champions that he beat, really. The legends that he beat in Demetrius Johnson, who was the greatest fighter of all time with 11 title defenses when Henry beat him, coming back from a 2-minute loss to him 2 years earlier. Then he went on to beat TJ Dillashaw, the greatest bantamweight of all time, in 32 seconds. While the guy was on PEDs. And he moved on to winning the 135-pound bantamweight division against a beast in Marlon Moraes, who was ranked #1 and knocking out everybody. And he fought that with one shoulder and one ankle. He tore his shoulder in the first round, and he tore the ligaments in his ankle 2 days before the fight. And then against, we were going to fight Aldo, but we ended up fighting Dominic Cruz, a legend, another guy that's considered the GOAT of the bantamweight division, and Henry knocked him out and then retired on top. And he's nominated for the Fighter of the Year. And I myself, I have obviously Henry Cejudo, Patricio Pitbull, who's got 2 world titles, 145-pound champion and 155-pound champion in Bellator. He beat the greatest fighter in lightweight history, in Michael Chandler, a guy. It was a revenge match, the guy who knocked out his brother, Patricky Pitbull. So that was huge. Some people think Michael Chandler can beat Khabib Nurmagomedov, and they were saying that's the guy who can beat him. And Pitbull knocked him out in 1 minute. And then he entered his own Grand Prix tournament and beat Juan Archuleta, who's another killer, who was undefeated for 5 years. So, Oh, he's on a roll. You got Patricky Pitbull, the king of Bellator knockouts. You got the Korean Zombie, who just knocked out Frankie Edgar to become the #1 contender for 145-pound weight class in the UFC. You have Leandro Ego, who's also a perennial title contender at 135 in Bellator. So, and of course, Paulo the Eraser.
Oh, man, we need to talk about him.
185-pound middleweight and looking to fight Israel Adesanya and hopefully be the first Ultimate Fighter on ESPN. And the Eraser versus the Last Spellbender, the greatest middleweight fight in history, is about to go down on the Ultimate Fighter on ESPN. You do not want to miss that. It'll be level 10 animosity by the time they're done with the show.
So Dana White has announced that there's like a top 3 list of coaches that are going to be in the Ultimate Fighter coaching series. Yourself, as you just mentioned, with Israel and Paulo Costa, and a couple other fights that we don't need to mention. But I feel that you're going to get that, man, and you're going to be an Ultimate Fighter coach, and you guys are going to go out there and make some history like you do. That is what you do, right?
Hopefully.
Break out the goat milk, baby. Myenberg. What's the deal with goat milk? Is it much healthier?
When you're the greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time. That's what the goat.
Drink up some of that goat milk.
When you have the greatest of all time fighters, you drink goat milk.
I've heard goat milk has all kinds of benefits to it. Is that a brand that's sponsored by right there, Myenberg?
It's got that vitamin D3, which is necessary to hold out that COVID, that corona.
There you go, right there. You heard it right there. The coronavirus, that goat milk.
The real threat is Triple C versus Volkanovski.
Oh, talk about that fight a little bit.
I don't think Volkanovski dare whispers Triple C's name if he wins July 11th.
He doesn't even whisper it in his sleep.
He should, because he's on a legend rampage, beating Holloway and beating Aldo and Mendez.
Yes.
But nobody had an Olympic medal. Nobody had 2 gold medals. 2 world titles in the UFC. So, and the 145-pound class is kind of stagnant right now, and I think Triple C can bring some fire.
Yeah, and Volkanovski, he did beat those guys, but I don't think he beat them at their best of their day, though. I don't feel like Volkanovski beat those guys at the best of their days.
Say that again.
Volkanovski, we do have a little something going on with the microphone. I'm not sure who's.
Yeah, how's your connection there, Eric?
When you guys speak, I hear all kinds of static.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. Archie, there's nothing going on right there where you're at, or what?
No, nothing changed. It's just sometimes the internet. There we go, position.
There we go. See what happens here. T-Swizzle.
T-Swizzle.
Okay, how's it?
That might be better.
There you go. Looks good. Hey, Eric, that chain, is there an emblem on there? What's that emblem stand for, Eric?
It's actually a star radiator. It's to attract good energy.
There you go, right there.
So it has a 24 karat wire. The interesting story. We were the Eraser and Triple C and I, Logan Paul and Bruce Buffer, were at dinner at a hotel, and with Tal, which is helping us out with some business and arranging things like Paulo the movie, and he's getting a lot of business contacts and networking, and bringing a lot of things together for the fighters. And he took us up to the penthouse of the hotel, and there was some Indian, Native American chiefs from the Lakota Nation, Crazy Horse. Conor was there from Clandestine. He's a singer, and we went up there and they did a warrior blessing for us. And
wow,
there was a guy named Andrew wearing this, and it caught my eye, and he was telling me about it. And then we went out. There's an interesting story. Then we went out in Vegas, and I went to the bathroom. There was a bathroom attendant, and you get your hands washed, maybe get some gum, and you tip them. I tipped them like $5. And then I came back. Before I came back, Andrew put this around my neck. When he put it around my neck, when he put it around my, I'm trying to get it right. When he put it around my neck.
That's better right there.
Yeah, he put it in my neck. Then I went to the bathroom about 3 more times throughout the night. And that same bathroom attendant started like yelling at me and saying, fake, fake, fake. I didn't know what he was talking about. And then around the 3rd or 4th time, after I was washing my hands after going to the bathroom, he tried to light it on fire, come up and light it on while it's on me, on my chest. Put a lighter on it. And I was like, what the heck? And security came. There was a separation because I was like asking this guy, what's wrong with you?
What's the deal?
Anyway, we got separated, went back to the VIP suite. And then 10 minutes later, I got hit with a water bottle right across the face on my glasses and hit this on my chest because I was looking down, pouring a drink. And also the girl was like, I don't know. I went up to a person that threw it. She was about 2 tables away. And she was like, I don't know what came over me. Something, I've never done that before. And then I asked Andrew, I was like, hey, ever since I put this on, some weird stuff's been happening, like Brady Bunch souvenir curse type things. And he said, well, this represents good energy. And if and you're in a confined space, it repels bad energy. And he said that's what he thinks happening. So
nice.
I've been wearing it ever since. We ended up winning UFC 249 when Henry broke the global pandemic with the first live sport on TV, and that's the story behind my Star Radiator. The band members of Clandestine.
I need to give you one of those, Archie.
Definitely have to, man, and take a look. This is what we're talking about right here, Tom.
Yes.
This is the competition. Hey. This is not the competition.
So you have to log in, and I think they send you an email, and then you can vote. That's for Henry and I for World MMA Awards, and for the Fighter and Coach of the Year. You know, it's once again, like I said, this is the first time two wrestlers are voted for Fighter and Coach of the Year. So, you know, let's reach out to our cauliflower comrades. You know, this would be a win for wrestling. And we've been in this game. I've been with Cejudo for 16 years, so it's an honor for him and I to be nominated together. I've been with him since 2004 as a training partner, brother, mentor, and coach. And you were the cherry on top since Henry retired in 2020.
Yeah, you were the 2019 Coach of the Year. Tell us about that. I mean, you know, how much competition did you have, and you know, tell us about that experience being the Coach of the Year for you know, so long.
Well, shit, we've been at it for a while. You know, Patricio Pitbull was my first world champion, and he's been world champ for on and off for 5 years now, which is amazing.
Wow.
That is how good he is. He's pound for pound, in my eyes, the best in MMA. I've been on teams with Anderson Silva, Junior Dos Santos, Triple C, you know, Minotauro Nogueira, Big Nog, and the Pitbull Brothers. And I know MMA, and I can honestly say that Patricio Pitbull has definitely had the highest fight IQ and the best fighter in MMA. And it shows, and that's why he's been champ for so long, because he continues to evolve.
So what do you think the different level of fighters to get to the top? I mean, you've probably seen some guys that escalated quite quickly and some that took a long time. What's the difference between, getting to the top?
What do you mean?
As far as, starting from an amateur and then making it to the UFC, some folks are more talented, I guess, than others. Let's just say you have an Olympic champion, which you do, and he became a superstar, someone that's maybe not an Olympic champion, but does have that drive and is very good. How long would that guy take, do you think, to make it to the UFC, or what does it take?
Well, like we said, I think the best discipline is wrestling.
Okay.
So if you come from wrestling, everything else is easier. But it's not necessarily an option for everybody. Like, you really don't have wrestling in high school or school in Brazil, and I have champions from Korea and Brazil that don't wrestle. So that didn't come from wrestling. So, but I kind of bring that wrestling mentality to them. And it takes, to tell you the truth, it takes someone who's driven to be the best, and a little bit of luck. It takes luck because, remember, there's only 10 weight classes, and each weight class is filled to the max, and somebody usually has to get fired for you to get hired in the UFC or Bellator, and so you have to be putting on highlights, and you got to stick out. You got to what makes you different from the other 1,000 undefeated fighters in your weight class? What makes you special? What makes you unique? Sometimes it's somebody that can speak 1 to 2 to 3 languages, somebody that's a star in another sport. And Dana always says he likes finishes. So somebody who likes to finish, somebody who's getting noticed on the regional circuit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And somebody who can sell a fight. That's important. You see now Flow Wrestling's putting some fights on Chamizo and Dake. And those guys are talking smack to each other, and that's what gets the people riled up. That's what gets the people wanting to see. Even the people that are traditional, that are, you got to be humble. You got to be humble.
Right there.
I can't wait to see this person take you out because you're not humble.
See how clear it got right there?
You're gonna watch, and that is the idea. As long as you watch, as long as you have an emotion, that's what's important.
Yeah. Hey, Eric.
Little smack talk never hurts.
Eric, I had a comment from a couple guys here that they wanted to thank you for coming to Selma and bringing Henry. And then also, in addition to that, he's retired and maybe you guys can return. Robert Garcia was one of the key instruments to, bringing you guys down. And, if you can give a little shout out to the people out here, Eric, so that, show some love for us here.
For sure. I always tell everybody about the Central Valley. Central Valley's got the best wrestling in the country. Those guys are dedicated to becoming champions, and I appreciate that type of work ethic from young champions, like young men and women from the Valley. When I went out there, I just remember being super impressed on how well those guys are. I remember first time Robert Garcia brought me to Selma. He didn't even tell me who Alex Cisneros was. Here I'm out of shape, retired, and he throws me against Alex Cisneros, and wow.
That was one of my Jiu Jitsu students.
I was like, wow, this kid's tough. I didn't know who he was, but he was tough. I can't remember exactly who was winning, who was losing. I just remember it being tough. But I want to say he was crying too. And I was like, not crying like crying tears, like crying of maybe he lost one takedown or didn't get a takedown or something. Just being super competitive. I remember that, but I also think he was hurt too, maybe a hamstring or something.
That's the spirit of Selma wrestling.
And I remember going there, and Robert Garcia was like, here's a kid, wrestle him. Then I found out he's like a 3-time state champ, undefeated for 3 years. I was like, no wonder. So, great memories of the Valley, and I wish everybody there well, and say hello to everybody over there in Fresno.
Hey, Robert, Eric, I mean, just to let you know, since you left, all those little kids that you were there, a lot of them have went on to be college students, college wrestlers, And we have 3 Olympians. We have Leda Martinez, the Figueroa family. There's a brother-sister combination, Richard and his sister. I mean, these high school kids went out and became Olympic freestyle silver medalists. Each of them are medalists. They all medaled in one was 20 and under, 17 and under. But we got Olympians in our freaking town now, brother.
I'm not surprised. I expect more.
There you go.
The community really supports wrestling, and that's real important because, like I said, it takes a village to raise a champion, raise an Olympic champion in particular. And nobody is self-made. Nobody is self-made. I don't like that word. Nobody's a self-made man. It takes a village. It takes mentors. It takes friends. It takes coaches, and it takes support from the community to help somebody achieve their dreams.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm sure that you're that mentor for a lot of fighters. I hear it all the time, about how great of a coach you are, and you hear it from people that are coached by you, and you're just an amazing mentor. I mean, within the last time we've talked, so many great things has happened, in this industry, and unfortunately we got hit by the COVID, but guess what? Everybody's still training.
Yeah, COVID has kind of put us all in a loop, but I know these guys are training. California wrestling, nobody stops.
Yeah. Training.
Whether it's on their own or Zoom or grabbing a couple of guys and inviting them to your garage, they'll find a way to train, and that's what separates them.
So who are you training with on a constant basis right now, Eric? I mean, who are you out there training with? You're in Florida, you said, right? Are you in a camp with somebody, or what's Eric up to as far as his coaching?
Well, I came out here for UFC 249 in Jacksonville, and that was for Henry. And then I stayed out here, and I've been here ever since because I was going to fly to Brazil to get Paulo Costa ready for Israel Adesanya. But the travel restrictions have kind of put a halt to that. So I kind of been here in limbo. But good thing my family's from here. I went to Coral Springs High School, so that's why my mom, my sisters, my nieces and nephews are all out here. So it's been a kind of a family reunion for me because I've been on the road for 10 years.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think?
Man, what I think is all this is really, really cool, man.
But
Eric, what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is I know you spent a lot of time in Brazil and Florida. Both of those places, there's a huge Brazilian jiu-jitsu scene, but definitely in Brazil, I'm sure you're not only teaching wrestling. Do you train straight Brazilian jiu-jitsu? Like, do you ever throw on a gi, or do you stick to gi-less jiu-jitsu alone? Do you mess with the gi at all?
I have put one on, but I haven't. I can't lie. I haven't been wearing the gi too much. I kind of mostly no gi.
So when you're in Brazil, is there a specific school or specific people that you like to stick to and train with, or are you just going to Brazil to help a guy like Paulo Costa that's getting ready for an MMA fight?
I go to Brazil to help out Paulo Costa, but I have my team in Brazil, the Pitbull Brothers. So that's probably the #1 team in Brazil, if not the world. I mean, we have 4 world titles coming out of there. Some of the greatest fighters in the world have come to train there. Kelvin Gastelum, Paulo Costa, also, although he's Team Borracha in Contagem, Brazil, he has come out to the Pitbull Brothers to train. Bruno Bulldog trains there. Henry Cejudo's part of Henry's journey to becoming a champion involves traveling to Brazil and learning karate with Mano Santana, Master Mano, who's taught Patricio Pitbull and everybody at Pitbull Brothers karate for MMA, and that's kind of where we saw the evolution of Henry Cejudo, Triple C beginning. Of course, we also went to Singapore and was at Evolve and with Paul Lamage and out in Amsterdam, Holland. So we kind of turned over every stone to evolve 1% every day. But my main gym, Fight Ready in Arizona, and the Pitbull Brothers in Brazil.
So how often would you say out of a year, how many months out of a year are you over there in Brazil?
Wow. So in the last couple of years, almost half the year.
Wow.
Almost half the year. I mean, I'm from camp to camp. I'm single. I don't have any children, and I think that's part of the reason why I have this success, because I'm willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. If I'm willing to go to Brazil right now and jump out of a plane and parachute into Belo Horizonte, Brazil, to train Paulo Costa, because it's very hard to get there. I've actually looked into doing something like that, and maybe crossing over the border from Bolivia or Colombia.
Oh, you got to do it, man. Do it. Hey, where did you say?
I have a world title on the line, and to me, their dream is my dream. And to get another world title or a fifth world title would be, would just be unheralded.
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge. Where exactly, what part of Brazil are you at when you're training over there?
Natal, Brazil.
Natal, is that in Rio?
No, that's northeast. When I was on Team Nogueira, I was in Rio. But now, Natal, Brazil, Pitbull Brothers in northeast.
Is that more Amazon or what?
It's no, it's actually there's sand dunes. It's right on the beach. It's the most northeastern part of Brazil. So even from Europe, a lot of Europeans fly to that point on the map, which is Natal, Brazil.
I've been to Brazil once. I was stayed in Barra da Tijuca in Rio.
Oh yeah, Barra da Tijuca. I was there too. Minotauro Nogueira lives there. That's like the Beverly Hills of Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Right on top of Praia do Pepe.
Praia do Pepe.
O melhor praia do Rio de Janeiro or do Barra da Tijuca. So that's the best beach in Barra da Tijuca is Praia do Pepe.
It's really something. Yeah, it's really something else. What's your favorite Brazilian food, brother? What is your diet? Because I'm not sure.
Escondidinho. It's like it sounds like it's a shepherd's pie, but it's called escondidinho. It's got with the meat and cheese with like inside, like mashed potatoes. I don't know how to explain it.
Hey, what about
that? Always good.
Yeah, see, I told you, Archie.
Great.
How about the acai?
Acai.
Hey, have you ever had any acai here in America that could even match with the Brazilian acai?
Probably not. It's always best to get it straight from the fountain.
Straight out of the fountain. Man, so that's something, dude. So as a wrestler, like coaching jiu-jitsu, I noticed that some of the best guys we've had that have ever done like competitions, especially gilas, have been wrestlers, like high school wrestlers or college wrestlers that'll come in off the street. And it seems like because they've already got the takedown and the defense, that once they add the submissions into their game and a little guard work, he's breaking out the balloon. Have you ever competed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, bud?
You know what? When I was in the military, Matt Larson from Modern Army Cangadas brought me to my first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. So, yeah, I have. I knew zero back then. I just knew how to get a takedown and try to keep my elbows in. But, and I also went to the 2007 grappling world championships. And I also competed in, I think it was Naga once. I went into the black belt advanced division, never having done grappling a day in my life. Wow. And I just went into the black belt division.
Hey, Eric, I had a question about cutting weight, because I mean, when Henry has been cutting to 25 pounds, for a while. I mean, he wrestled at 20s at the Olympics. What does it take, and as far as time, how much time do you guys take to cut the weight? I mean, I know you guys have a fight camp, but like on your full-on fight camp, you guys I'm considering the weight cut, but how do you manage that is the question, I guess.
Yeah, like we got him a meal plan from he uses Fran's Kitchen. For about 5 years ago, I made sure to get him a meal plan because he had missed weight a few times before I came on board. So that was one of my first orders of business, was to get him the proper nutrition and a meal prep plan to, just to have the structure of how many calories and what to eat, and to take the guessing out of it. We analyzed it, and we gave him that and Trifecta. UFC's on top of that now, and UFC is sponsored by Trifecta and sends meal preps and meals to fighters that are in main events and pay-per-views.
Wow. Yeah. And, at that level, you need to really, really, really watch your intake. And it's just an amazing job of what you guys do. Are you the engineer to the fight camp, to bringing in the scientists, bringing in the nutritionists? Are you the guy?
I am. We kind of put it all together. It's been a few years in the making. I've been doing this game for 10 years, and we finally got the system down pat. And it involves everything from nutrition, sports science, sports performance, stem cell treatments, the heart variability, the windows of trainability, the coaching, the team leader, and bringing that all together in one cohesive unit and setting goals and executing it.
That creates champions, obviously. Damn it.
That's crazy. So you've been setting, the wrestling taught you to set goals, and you're still setting goals.
Since the day I started wrestling, I've been married to the mat. I never stopped. And that's what I think about. How can we can use why is wrestling and wrestlers so good in MMA, and how can I evolve that even more? Shout out to wrestling. Shout out to California wrestling. That California wrestling. They have a huge following on Instagram, and I follow them. There's a lot of wrestlers in California. Hopefully, they could all vote for us.
There you go. Absolutely,
baby.
Vote. So that website, Archie, that website that you were putting up with the voting, can you post that again up there so people can see? Are there multiple websites for this, or is this the main one right here?
World MMA Awards. You have to log in, you have to vote, and then you could share and tell everybody else to log in, vote, and share. And that's how we're gonna get the word out there. I feel like I'm campaigning,
right,
like a politician.
There it is.
Although, some people, it's crazy. It really shouldn't have there's nobody else with four world titles and 2 champs in the game, and 3, a couple of number 1 guys in the UFC, a couple more in Bellator, number 1 title perennial contenders. Nobody really has that. So a shout out to all my fighters, putting it on the line and getting in the cage and performing.
Well, you definitely have a great chance for it. And I can see you and Henry definitely winning it. Hey, but there was something I wanted to ask you about. And when it happened, a lot of us weren't expecting it. But after Henry's last fight, with him just out of nowhere retiring, was that something that like you and the team knew about, or was that a surprise to you?
No, that was a surprise.
Was it?
I mean, I had him. I thought he was gonna challenge Volkanovski, Conor McGregor. I had all kinds of ideas, and he decided that right then and there. He told me, "I'm done." He said, "I'm done, Poppy. I'm done." And I was like, "No, don't do that. Let's challenge these guys. Let's go after it." I think I have a high. I know Henry probably better than he knows himself, because I said, "Man, I think you can win the 145-pound belt. I think he can win the BMF belt, depending who's owning it." And he's like, "Man, you always want to throw me to the wolves. You think I'm Superman?" I always say. I wouldn't throw you to the wolves if I didn't think you were a dire wolf yourself. So, oh snap! You got these. These are pictures I haven't seen for a long time. You got to get these to me.
Look at that.
We have a
How old
library.
is he? Hey, how young is he right there?
I would say this is 2009, so 22.
Yeah, that was right after. Yeah, the year after, right? Let me get you another screen.
Yeah, that's when I first moved to Sanger. So that was when we brought him out, and Rob Garcia brought us to Selma.
Selma.
Hey, Eric, when you were training at
was
the
there.
Oh yeah, Cisneros is something else.
Cisneros was there, and then even Little Rob Garcia. So I
Yeah,
think
Little Rob.
he's at Fresno State. He's a Bulldog now. So shout out to him.
Yeah.
I had Alex Cisneros training in my Jiu Jitsu academy when he was young, when he was a young kid. Little animal right there. That family, the whole family, all the brothers. Yeah, the scrap pack. All of those brothers, they're amazing. They're something else.
Dang, you pulling up. Dang, you gotta send that to me.
I got your email, so I'll go ahead and Google Drive this to you. I'll give you the whole little package that we got.
You're holding back on me, Archie. Come on.
No,
How your son's doing, Archie?
No,
Archie, did you get a train with Henry as well when you were?
Yeah, I was there that day. I didn't quite get on the mat. No, I was kind of running the event, I guess. Right, not much running to do. I mean, these guys did amazing stuff.
I think I went. Didn't you have a restaurant or something?
Yeah, we have a restaurant back then. Mediterranean food. Yeah. And then we also had our own private gym, and so we were just like, we still do. But
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. No, heck yeah, it's amazing times, and looking forward to seeing you back in the mat sometime here, wherever. Maybe I'll go to you. Arizona. We'll go to you guys.
Maybe we'll take a little trip. Hey, Eric, for a guy that's out there like just a young buck that's maybe an amateur or somebody looking to get into MMA, the main gyms that you train at, can anybody off the street just come into something like that? They come in with the right attitude? Or is it more of a private thing?
Right, you know what? Right now, I think it's kind of moving all the privates. Our gym is not even open because of Corona, so we're only training if we have a world title or something. Right now, nobody has a world title up. Henry just retired, so I mean, right now it's private because it's closed. So, but if it opens back up, when it opens back up, I think it's on a by trial basis. You come out for 2 weeks, see if you like it, see if you mesh with the team, the coaches, the environment, and we move on from there.
Hey, Eric, so what's going to happen with the fight with Paulo Costa and Israel Adesanya? Let's just say the fight does come to fruition. How the heck are you going to get out there? Are you going to parachute out to Brazil, or are you going to bring Paulo Costa to you, or how are you guys going to get past those challenges?
Well, challenges is that's what drives us. So
they're meant to be solved.
We have to find a way. We have to find a way, whether it's me training over Zoom, whether it's me flying down there to another country and crossing over, whether it's somehow getting a special interest pass to enter the country from the president. I mean,
Figure it out.
We're going to find a way.
So, Eric, thank you for your time. First of all, you're an amazing guy. There's so many stories, to share and to ask you about. Yes. But you have 2 double C's, and 1 triple C, or a triple C and a double C. Tell us the experience of earning the first belt, the last belt, the belts in between. Is there one more special than the other? And I know that one was probably harder to achieve because different efforts get put into different training camps. I mean, give us some experience about the belts, right? The different guys, your guys. Yeah.
I would say my first world title with Patricio Pitbull. He beat Patrick Curran. And, that was a 5-round war. And we didn't know who was going to win until the judges announced it. He had lost to him already. So that was definitely, your first world title in Bellator. That was a outstanding moment. To go in every round, from one round to the 5th round, it's an event that it's very hard to prepare for, because you're seeing somebody that you see as brother, as family. And after the first round, he's a little bit sweaty. After the second round, and maybe a broken nose, eyes closed. After the 3rd round, after the 4th round, you have to maintain and give him instructions and technical advice, strategical advice, and motivate him. All like it's the first round, you're looking at him, but every round you have to maintain, that poker face, and you're seeing blood and broken nose and exhaustion, and shin bones and ankles. But the one thing is that blood and tears and sweat dries and bones heal. But legends live forever, and
right.
It's important that to be prepared. That moment cannot be. You have to be. That is a big moment. You cannot allow that moment to be too big for you. So then the next one would be Henry. When Henry beat Demetrius Johnson, that was against the greatest of all time. It was a split decision, razor thin decision against the guy that had 11 defenses that had knocked him out two years earlier in 2 minutes. And, nobody gave him a chance. He was a 4-1 underdog. That was amazing. When he beat Marlon Moraes, I was so worried because Henry beat Triple C. When he became Triple C, he had a torn ankle. He tore his ankle, ligaments in his ankle 3 days before, and then he tore his shoulder first round. And that one I was really worried. So it was amazing that he came back in that fight. Probably one of the greatest comebacks in history. Patricio Pitbull beating Michael Chandler in 1 minute. Chandler had knocked out his brother, Patricky, in a devastating knockout. And then we got our revenge. Patricio came back and knocked him out in a minute. So, and then I think the Eraser versus Joel Romero. That was amazing.
That was a fight of the year.
I've been a friend of him since he was 17, a fan of him since he was 17. Probably the greatest athlete in MMA. Just look what he's done, and he's 42 years old. And for us to beat him was amazing and a great feeling. And then Korean Zombie in Seoul, Korea, main event against a former champion and Frankie Edgar, probably one of the greatest legends in MMA, and he knocked him out in the first round as well. So all these, it's hard to pick, but your first would be, the first time is always probably the best feeling. So my first time with Patricio, and then the first when we won that first title, and then our first world title with Henry is two emotions that is probably the greatest moment in sports for me, besides the Olympics. When Henry won the Olympics in 2008, that was that one will never be duplicated, that feeling for me, because I had been with Henry since 2004 when he won it in 2008, and wow, it was
that had to be amazing.
A feeling that probably I'll never feel again. Yeah. Although there's other wrestlers out there, so take another wrestler under our wing, and I believe there's another Triple C out there. Maybe who I really like is that Anthony Echemedia.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who he is. He's a Cuban refugee.
Oh, from Arizona.
From Arizona.
We have D1 wrestler. He's badass.
He won states, and then he won junior nationals, and he's expressed some interest in MMA after he wins a gold medal in wrestling, which I believe he can do, and I'm going to support him, and I support his dream to become an Olympic champion. And if he makes the transition in MMA,
watch out.
I believe he can be the next big thing.
Yeah, I've seen him win some amazing matches, close matches against the Pennsylvania guys, Rutgers, Penn State. I mean, oh my God, this guy's badass, Tom. And Eric,
he's good. We
if
got
we
to get him. He's got to get. Right now, he doesn't have the citizenship, but I think he can get it. Maybe by 2021, it's possible. Now that the Olympics were moved, that would be amazing for him to represent wrestling at the Olympics and win a medal and come over to MMA if he so chooses.
Eric, once this thing settles down, this corona, and everybody starts coming back, here in the hotbed of the Central Valley, we have an outstanding athlete, a potential guy. We'll call you up, man, send them your way. And somebody that's like dedicated. We know, coming from the wrestling background, what dedication is or not, and who has it and who doesn't. I mean, no better person than you to understand all that, of course. But we got you at the top of our list here for somebody that's an outstanding person that deserves, to meet you. Tom, what do you think?
Most definitely, man. The Central Valley, we're definitely doing it with the jiu-jitsu and wrestling. It's growing rapidly.
Hell yeah.
Well, the wrestling's already been here.
Both you guys wrestle?
Say again?
No, I did not wrestle. I just jiu-jitsu is. I've learned wrestling since I started training like MMA and fighting, but I wish I had wrestled. I wish I had started. When I see wrestlers come into the gym.
What is your opinion? Wrestling.
I love it. I think the best MMA fighters that have ever been champions have been wrestlers. Like one of my favorite is Randy Couture and Matt Hughes and guys like that. The best MMA fighters I've ever seen have had a strong background in wrestling. I love Greco-Roman wrestling for some reason. The clinching aspect I think is super important in MMA. I've had great wrestling coaches that are at my gym come in and help. We've had really. I don't know if you know who Phil Sullivan was. He's an older gentleman that passed away recently, but he trained at the Olympic Club in years back. But I love Greco-Roman wrestling. I like all wrestling. I think it's all beneficial, but I just feel
guys like Greco-Roman is very important.
So important.
The best style is a collegiate wrestler that trains Greco-Roman freestyle as well. But Greco-Roman, you're standing up, so it's more closer to what you're doing in MMA. You're
so tiring too. It seems like when you're in a clinch with a guy, like especially up against the cage, and you learn how to mix in elbows and knees and defense, that you can tire a guy out if he doesn't have that kind of cardio and that pummeling. That just next thing you know, the guy's tired, and you're not if you've been doing it. But I think wrestling is super important. I love jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is one of my favorite things. But man, when I see these guys that come in with the wrestling background and then they mix in the jiu-jitsu and they learn the submissions, there's something special.
Eric, I was going to say for me as a fight fan, I've been following you. I mean, ever since, and even before I met you in Selma. And especially ever since we met you, all the Central Valley, Dave Cisneros, the daddy Cisneros.
Daddy of the Scrap Pack?
He's the daddy of the Scrap Pack. I always talk to him, and we talk about you. And, hey, man, Eric's doing some good things out there. So, hell yeah, he is. And it's just the respect to see you grow as a person, as a coach.
Dave Cisneros always be trolling my guys, though.
Let's say that again.
He be trolling my guys.
Oh shit! Yeah,
it's all good, man. Hey, in the end of it all, it's all love.
Little friendly competition always on social media.
That's right. Cool, that's right. He's an aggressive guy, but you know what? That's why all his boys are champions, man.
He has a son right now, that Josh Cisneros. That he's taken more to the jiu-jitsu, but he's actually one of the best in the world right now. And they're cool people. They're cool people.
Oh, I see. I've watched them. I know they train in Visalia, maybe.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. I'm here in Visalia. They train. We got some of the best. It's crazy how it started.
What's their gym over there in Visalia? I forget.
Elite. Yeah, elite team with Tom Knox, the head instructor there. They're under Kleber Luciano from Brazil.
Oh yeah, he's a legend out there.
He's a great competitor. What do you got next, man? What's the next thing planned for Big Eric?
Well, let's win this World MMA Awards first.
That's right.
Henry wins Fighter of the Year, and we get Coach of the Year. And the Ultimate Fighter with the Eraser versus the Last Stylebender.
When do you think that'll be announced?
Well, we gotta help promote it. So we're in quarantine. We're still in the COVID crisis. So everything's changing day by day. So I can't give you a certain date.
Right, that's true.
But
so the promotion is we want to promote.
It's going to be the greatest Ultimate Fighter in history and the first one on ESPN. So I'm excited for that. I think there's no better two fighters to do it, to debut on ESPN than the Eraser versus the Last Stylebender. Israel Adesanya has a great mouthpiece. He's quick. He's witty. He's quick on his feet. And obviously he's the UFC champ. So the Eraser, 12 knockouts, erasing everybody he fights, and probably the best looking guy in MMA as well. They call him Ricky Martin, but he hits like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, right there.
And we would have some guest appearances, like Triple C, like Mike Tyson, like Ricky Martin. We bring those guys on the show. Logan Paul, things like that. So I think it would be an amazing season.
So is that really the record right there? 13-0 versus 19-0.
Yeah, I don't know if that's happened in a long time, where two undefeated guys.
I don't think so.
That's why it would be the ultimate for you guys to be on the Ultimate Fighter. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Hey, so what's first, the award show?
Yeah,
what's first, the award show or the Ultimate Fighter, Archie?
The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, the Ultimate Fighter. There's only like about 3 people on the list. But right now, you just said it, Tom. 13-0 versus 19-0. Wouldn't you want to see somebody's O go?
Somebody's O's got to go. That's for sure.
And you know what?
It ain't gonna be the Eraser.
That's right, buddy. Yeah, that's what we need to see. Ultimate Fighter, was this 29, I believe? Ultimate Fighter 29. It's got to be
it would be top 29. 28 was the heavyweights, in which Juan Espino won.
Okay.
Which is an outstanding grappler and fighter out of Spain. I think he's a dark horse. I don't think anybody wants to fight him. He's a good friend of mine, and he's one of the best grapplers I've seen in the heavyweight division. He's grappling experience includes Mongolian wrestling, Senegalese wrestling, wrestling in India in the dirt, wrestling in Senegal, wrestling sumo, doing Jiu Jitsu, doing sambo, doing Canary Islands wrestling. I mean, he's done every folk style wrestling for many different countries, the belt wrestling, and I can appreciate that. So I'm big on him. And that was tough 28. This would be the Ultimate Fighter on ESPN 1. It would be the first one.
First one, yeah.
We've done a lot of. We're the first ones to break into ESPN on January 19, 2019, when Henry fought TJ Dillashaw. We were the first main event with Henry Triple C versus TJ. That's when he saved the flyweight division. And then, we were the first ones to break the global pandemic, UFC 249. And that was on May 9th. So it makes sense for the Eraser to be the first Ultimate Fighter coach on ESPN, the Ultimate Fighter.
Definitely. Well, man, dude, this has been an honor, Eric. Man, I want to thank you for your time, for coming and joining us today, bro. I know you're a busy guy, man. We really respect you for taking the time with a smaller show like us. We're up and coming, me and Archie. But hey, what advice would you have for we got a lot of young fighters that follow us, a lot of guys that we train with. What advice would you have for these young amateur MMA fighters? If you could tell them one thing that they could put their head to and they want to get to the next level, what advice do you got for these young bucks?
There's no shortcuts to any place worth going. So make sure you surround yourself with great people that have the same goals as you. I think that's one of the most important things, is that you have great mentors around you, great support systems, and friends that are eagles, not chickens, guys that are looking to soar in life.
Right.
And I believe that is the key to my success. Is it's never biting.
Kind of breaking up, Eric, towards the end here.
It's okay, but you guys heard it right there. Friends that are eagles, not chicken, makes a difference.
No shortcuts.
Man, you also heard it from this guy right here, guys. We're right here in the Central Valley. Some people don't think much of it.
Eric.
He'll come back in right now. He'll come back in.
Yeah. He'll fade right back in.
Hey, something else talking with this guy, man.
I mean, this is a legend.
I just listened to a lot of it. You know what I mean? Just it's cool to see somebody that's at this level and just kind of listen and hear what they have to say, dude, about the sport and about the experience.
There you go, Eric. You're kind of moving, but still kind of choppy.
Maybe move to another spot if you can, big dog. Archie, you got to bring this guy back into the valley, man, for a seminar.
Yeah, no, we definitely have to do that. And we were talking earlier where he showed up. He was in Selma, him and Henry for a wrestling seminar. But at this point, Eric, we want to thank you so much. I mean, Eric is the man, and we could bring him for a MMA seminar, that's for sure. But this was like no other show. I mean, every show is like no other show, but today's show was a special show. It's on a Friday, 4th of July weekend. Eric
Happy 4th of July, guys.
Happy 4th of July. Eric has a very special moment coming up. Him and Henry, they're in the hunt to get awarded for the World MMA Award. We're trying to get Eric and Henry. There you go. We lost you. Yeah, we were just talking about. We're talking to the audience about how.
Where did I lose you guys? I was dropping some knowledge.
Yeah, you were talking about the guys, for the amateur guys. What is it that you recommend for them, and no shortcuts, right? I mean, no shortcuts, and the hard work that it takes to get there, right?
And surrounding yourself with the right people and evolving. A lot of times, recovery is one of the most important things.
Recovery.
And a lot of wrestlers just overtrain. We come from a traditional sport. It's not only hard work, it's smart work. And seeking out mentors, seeking out technique, going on YouTube, going on Flow Wrestling, going on MMA Fight Pass, and seeing what coaches have to say, and trying to seek out new techniques and seek out new training regimens, just continuing to evolve. And don't cut weight. I'd like to say this: in California, we cut weight at too young of an age. I don't even think people should cut weight. And I come from I'm a person that cut weight my whole career, and I wish I didn't cut so much weight. I really didn't start finding success until they took away my weight classes, and I had to move up 2 weight classes because I wanted to retire, because it burns you out. Cutting weight at a young age just burns you out, and that's an important aspect and something I'd like to correct is less weight cutting, because it takes away from learning technique. If you're worried about what you're going to eat after practice, or what you can't eat, or what you're going to eat after weigh-ins.
So you talked about recovery as far as for the guys, and I just kind of want to bring that back, Eric, because your guys work so hard, but yet the recovery is an important part of the program, and that all comes back to that amazing stuff that you guys are doing, man. I'm just overwhelmed on the scientific work that you guys have put onto your fighters. Especially, it kind of shows more with Henry when he's getting together for a fight camp. All these different prods and electrical prods all over the body, and just testing all kinds of stuff. But recovery, back to that point, recovery, you got to take care of yourselves, guys, and eat well, and don't overtrain.
There you go. Surround yourself with great mentors and people that are seeking to fly and soar. Don't hang around chickens.
Yeah, so I was saying earlier, Eric, that when you kind of had blanked out, Yeah, I was saying that we want to, get the Valley out there to vote for you, and we're on a mission here, to get some MMA awards here, the World MMA Award for best coach and best fighter, and get out there and get the vote in because we're here to support.
Thank you. Appreciate your help, and I'll see you at the polls.
We'll see you at the polls, and we'll see you hopefully in Arizona when you're closer to us. Or if you're in California, back in Bellator, maybe San Jose or something, we'll look for each other and have a beer.
Sounds good.
Definitely. We'll buy. And brother, man, if you get a chance, brother, you could help us out, and we'll help you out too with the MMA Awards. If you could share this video maybe on your feed, it might help us both out in some way or another, if you get a chance.
Oh, for sure. Of course. Usually when I do these podcasts, I give, they take the sound bites and they separate them. It's not going to be, they don't put one whole video up.
Right.
They separate them and
all good.
You can continue to show different material from this podcast throughout the day and the weekend, and not just one video all at once. So
right.
we have a minute and 15 minutes of pure gold.
Yeah,
gold,
I like that.
Cool.
Hey, a lot of love to those glasses again, man. I hope you don't ever retire those bad boys.
Bro,
I don't plan on it because we ain't losing.
No, do not. Do not. Hey, man, God bless you for everything you do with these youngsters and everything that you've been doing, bro. It's a lot of the stuff, it's glamour and it's on TV and everything nowadays. But I can tell that you really have a love and a passion for helping people. So that's one thing we want to thank you for, man. And thanks for taking the time to come on a small show like this, dude. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, MMA Fight Pass.
All right. Hey, thanks a bunch. I'll tell the Central Valley, I'll give them your love, and we'll see you soon, Eric. I mean, we're going to see you soon, buddy.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
All right, my brother. Hey, you have a happy 4th of July and have a safe holiday, my brother.
Same to you. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
All right, Eric.
We'll see you. God bless.
Just like that, guys. Man, guys, that was something else talking to a guy like that. I just kind of kept quiet, you know what I mean? Just listening to what he had to say. It was just endless. It was just endless stuff, man. He kind of carried the podcast pretty good right there. But we could probably sit with that guy for hours, right, Archie? Sit with that guy for hours and just get tons and tons of information and knowledge. Dude, imagine what that guy has just imagine the experience that a guy like that gets, even though he's teaching these guys like a lot, but when he's working with all these different fighters, like, man, just imagine what his brain is uploading with all the different striking and grappling and jiu-jitsu and this and that, the mixture. Man, it'd be something to have a couple hours with that guy in a room.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was just saying earlier, as far as, the knowledge, right? You need to keep learning, go out there and to get some mentors, listen to shows, get on YouTube. And he even said, get on MMA Fight Pass because we are interviewing different coaches that talk different philosophies. And then you can start following them coaches, right?
That's right. And MMA Fight Pass, if you guys haven't noticed, man, like we talk to all kinds of different people, but we are one of our things, and we're doing it already, and we're going to keep doing it, is we want to interview some of the best coaches in the world: kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, Western boxing, Mexican boxing, jiu-jitsu, Japanese judo, Kodokan judo and jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling. We'll interview any of these guys. The goal is that me and Archie, we're learning from it, and you guys are getting the knowledge from it too. But man, we've got some sick Brazilian jiu-jitsu coaches coming up. We have Chris Howder coming up here pretty soon. Archie's got a whole list of guys coming up, but I'm looking forward to the Chris Howder interview. If you guys don't know, he's one of the first Americans to receive a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu under the Machado family. A high-ranked guy. He's worked with some of the best in the world. He's going to have a lot of cool stories to talk about. That's going to be a cool one. Who else we got, Archie? I know you got a list of guys.
Yeah, we got a doctor, an actual USADA equivalent doctor from the UK. He's going to come online hopefully next week, and
that's going to be cool.
Talk about some drug tests. Oh no, don't run.
We have a USADA doctor. Is that what you're saying?
He's an equivalent type of USADA doctor, for the UK, and he's part of the mix, part of that community. And he's the guy for UK, and he has a lot of stories about cutting weight, how not to cut it, what kind of drugs not to use. I mean, I don't think
seriously though, man, we got a lot of our young guys out there that watch this, and a lot of guys that I know and these youngsters that are training. Hey, man, and you get all kinds of different opinions from different people, and there might be an older dude in the gym that he's shooting up this and he's doing that, and you might want to look into this stuff before you start putting these things into your body. Even though you might get the quick result, and it might make you feel like $1 million, later down the road, it might, you know what I mean? It might not be the best.
Eric said there's no shortcuts.
There's no shortcuts, and that is true in life. It is true, and I've had guys in my gym that have made it far short term. They've made it to a high level in the short term, but later on they're on different medicines, or they're having problems with this and problems with that. So you got to do research on things like that. So that'll be cool. That doctor, I'm looking forward to that. It's cool that we're mixing it up like that, dude. I like that. Where'd you get the idea for this, dude?
He reached out. I mean, we're being blessed nowadays. We're getting folks reaching out, and another individual reached out from India. He's a promoter, one of the larger promoters from India, and he works with One Championships from Japan.
Hey, just for a second, time out for a second. Hey, that is cool, man, when they reach out to you, because in the beginning we were doing nothing but reaching out to people, right?
Yes.
So when somebody reaches out to you, no, it's the hard work is paying off. Guys, we're at episode 93, virtual episode 24. So that may not seem like a lot, but man, it is a lot for us.
Hard work. I mean, consistency. People start trusting you and think and looking at the material. Okay, yeah, these guys are for real. I mean, we love the sport. We're passionate, and we want to spread some knowledge out from different coaches, different styles. I mean, look at today's show. It's just an amazing example of an amazing person, sharing his knowledge. Right? It's all about knowledge.
That was cool, dude. It was cool talking with that guy, and man, it was cool because I've seen him around. You know what I mean? I've seen him around in some of the biggest corners. And you have to be, I mean, think about it, dude. Like Phil Sullivan, my coach that passed away recently, he explained to me what it was like just training at the Olympic wrestling facility. Yeah. Imagine if you're a coach there at a place like that. Like, they're not letting just any old dude do that. You know what I mean? Well, not just any wrestler off the street is going to be teaching and helping out there.
What did Eric say when he was at the Olympic Training Center, that they would train day in and day out, and if somebody misses a day, you really don't want to miss a day because then you may lose your spot, and there's only 10 spots, right? I mean, what an intense competition, and if you don't take care of your body, eat right, all those.
There's a lot of factors there, and only the most dedicated guy with the highest goal in mind, you know what I mean, and the smartest guy. Like, you could tell Henry Cejudo too. One thing I respect about Henry, like, he may come back and fight, Henry Cejudo. Yeah. But he's a smart dude, you know what I mean? You can tell by the way he trains and the way he fights. But when he retired right there, like Henry, when you listen to him talk, he's all there still. That guy, he's got a senses still. You know what I mean? Yeah, and there's something going on right now with the pay in MMA. A couple of our recent guests have talked about it. Kung Lee was one of them. He's a big proponent in this. But the pay is going to have to change, because when you look at what a professional boxer makes, it's a lot of money. With some of the top names, it's way more than MMA fighters, isn't it?
It is, and there's a weird formula there. Somebody's got to figure it out and kind of pass that formula down to the MMA community.
It's going to come down. It's getting so popular, dude. It's a mainstream now. When something hits ESPN, like, it's growing and growing and growing. But now the amount of shows, and especially what Dana's really drawing the eye of even a lot of new people that are just getting into MMA, because none of the other sports are going. You know what I mean? Yeah. UFC is cracking.
They're crack-a-lacking. I mean, you got fighters. They're looking for you. Yeah. So, I mean, any of you fighters out there that are dedicated, us here, Tom and I, are making some amazing friends and connections. And, it's not a shortcut, but it's, it's who you know. And if you know that you're a dedicated person, and if you feel that you can, dedicate yourself to the extent of really doing something in this sport, let us know. We'll try to connect you to the right people also.
Yep, we will. That's one thing is I've said it before, but you've told me in the beginning when we started doing this podcast that each guy that we go through, it's going to open up a door. You know what I mean? And it really does. It's just when you open those doors, it's just a matter if you choose to take advantage of it or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. All these guys we've met, we've been invited to basically all these gyms. And really, man, if you can be anybody out there, like if you got a good attitude, you can literally walk into any of these gyms, provided this, virus pandemic isn't going on or whatever. But if you walk into a gym with a guy like Eric, go in there with the utmost respect, right, Archie? Go in there with an open mind and don't have any type of an attitude. Hey, man, and one thing can lead to another, and next thing you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
We have to start somewhere.
Yeah, this is exciting. I mean, I can hardly wait for things to get better and us to pick up and then hit the road hopefully and maybe leave the country for a trip here or two. My spot is Brazil right now. That's where I want to go.
Brazil's not a bad place to go. That's for sure. It's not a bad place to go. Well, guys, hey, man, today's July 3rd, and tomorrow it's Independence Day, guys. Most of you guys I got the day off, and I suggest that if you get the chance, take the time to do something with your family. You know what I mean? If you know a veteran, thank them. Have respect for your neighbors, guys. I know a lot of people light off illegal fireworks, and when I was younger, I'd go out of hand and just light off all these illegal fireworks and make bombs and this and that. But now that I've got older, I think my way of thinking has changed, especially when I see the damage that they do, not only to veterans, but to animals, guys. So have a little respect, guys. A lot of you guys will be lighting off the illegals. Be respectful to your neighbors. They're dangerous too, man. I've seen them go wrong. I've seen them go wrong right there in my front yard. Family members get hit with these illegal things. And I'm not, and you guys can do what you want to do. Just have respect for yourself, your family, and your neighbors, and everybody have a safe 4th of July. And from MMA Fight Pass, we just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July.
That's right. Thank you so much. And we'll just sign off, Tom.
All right. So our sponsors, guys, we talk about the sponsors all the time. Archie, real quick, we got to thank the sponsors, Rio Acai Bowls, La Enchilada Mexican Food, and Legion's Tap House Grill in Selma. Guys, these are great spots. We'll talk about them every show. But we're always looking for more sponsors, guys. But right now we got some good ones, man. The Rio Acai Bowl, top-notch acai. You heard about them talking about that acai in Brazil, though.
That's right. There's nothing like it.
Hey, but a lot of the Mexican food. Hey, it's getting harder and harder, man, nowadays to get a decent, real good Mexican food. There's so much of it out there, and people are doing stuff so quick, dude, and they're not doing it with the best ingredients. But La Enchilada Mexican food, you can go in there and get the real deal, man. It's a top-notch burrito, a torta, tacos, sopes. And then if you want some good beer, Legion's Tap House and Grill in Selma.
There you go.
What more can I say about that? Also, the food is really damn good. The hamburgers and different things, the appetizers, all really good stuff, guys. But Archie, man, I want to tell you, you and your family and your sons and your wife, you guys have a great 4th of July. I'll keep up with you.
Thank you.
And, thanks for getting this good guest on today. That was really cool, man, talking to him.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to do it last minute. It just happened to be that you were available. Everyone, all the stars were aligned. Thank God, and I'm glad we did it. Gosh, what an experience.
Too. Hey, I had other things going on and stuff, but I was able to squeeze them in too, because something like this, I think for us, this is like a stepping stone. You know what I mean? It is, and I don't mean it like a step. That's maybe the wrong way to put it, but that was another grip up the ladder when we get a guy like that. You know what I mean? To keep our show moving up. And man, if Eric shares this on his page, just like when Kung Lee shared our video, man, we got almost 12,000 views with the Kung Lee. Now, I never ever thought that we would have something like that on these. I thought maybe in the years in advance, like after time, but like within a couple of weeks to have it, I was pretty impressed by that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we appreciate everyone, and we appreciate all the MMA Fight Pass crew. Chris Ronquillo, Tom, And then we got James Gilliland. We got Mr. John Carton. And then, of course, Mr. XO.
Xavier Ortega, Big Dog Ortega. Hey, one of these days, man, here, when this stupid virus calms down, that we're all going to get together and have a podcast right there at Legions. And we'll have the whole crew right there. You know what I mean? We'll have the whole crew, and we'll have a little pitcher of beer going there, maybe a little purple.
There you go. All right. Hey, well, we'll just
I got to log off too, Archie.
All right.
I'll talk to you in a little bit, all right?
Yeah, let's end this broadcast, and then we'll sign off here, Tom.
Okay, brother. All right, everybody.